Hello everybody, welcome to my channel Omni Bio Entrance. Today we will be discussing National Entrance Screening Test NEST 2010 question paper. I have done only the biology section. So coming to the first question, for questions 2.1 to 2.15, only one of the four options is correct. A correct answer will earn 3 marks and an unattempted question will earn 0 marks. A wrong answer will earn -1 marks. So enzymes are biocatalysts. So that's the first question. Enzymes are biocatalysts and that catalyze reactions at very high rates compared to chemical catalyst. They are specific to the substrate and reaction they catalyze. A few statements about enzymes are made below. Which of the above statements are true? Not every enzyme is proteinaceous in nature. Yes, because you have ribozymes where RNA molecules are acting as enzymes. Then some RNAs are also enzymes, that is ribozymes. And the active site of the enzyme is complementary to the transition site. That's also correct. Enzymes alter the equilibrium constant of a reaction. They do not alter. Enzyme catalyze only irreversible reaction, no reversible reactions. So the statements that are correct are 1, 2 and 3. So answer is correct. 1, 2, 3. Next one. An mRNA ready for translation would have introns, coding exons, non-coding exons. Introns will not be there, so naturally option A and D can be removed. Only coding exons. No, it will have both coding exons and non-coding exons. So option B is correct. During oogenesis in mammals, the second meiotic division occurs during the formation of primary oocyte, before ovulation, after fertilization, after implantation. So the second meiotic division occurs after fertilization in oogenesis in mammals. Then next one. The Kyoto Protocol specifies regulations on the emission of greenhouse gases. It defines a term known as carbon credits. The following statements pertain to carbon credits. The mandatory limit of carbon credit of each country is directly proportional to its size and population. 1 carbon credit defines the emission of 1 ton of carbon dioxide or equivalent gases responsible for greenhouse effect. Carbon credits are exchangeable among countries or industries. An industry emitting higher than prescribed limit can do so by purchasing carbon credits. So answer is option C, that is 2, 3 and 4 are correct. 2, 3 and 4 options are correct. 1 is wrong. Then next one. Which of the following techniques were used by Michelson and Stahl to show that DNA replication is semi-conservative? Growing E. coli in defined synthetic medium. That's true. Use of H3-thymidine and analysis of the products by autoradiography. They didn't use H3-thymidine. Use of heavy nitrogen analysis of the products by equilibrium density gradient centrifugation. So option 1 and 3 are correct. So answer is option B, 1 and 3 only. Then hormones are regulatory molecules secreted by the endocrine system in vertebrates. Which of the following statements is not true for hormones? Hormones are secreted into blood circulation system and they act on target organs. That is correct. Amino acids are precursors for some hormones. That is also correct. Hormones can act on the organ that secrete them. That is also correct. Hormones are always short-lived molecules. That is wrong. So the incorrect answer is option D. Then single locus probe DNA fingerprinting was done for father and his 4 children. The resultant gel electrophoretic pattern is shown below. Which of the lanes contain the DNA of the children? So father and children are present. Now father's DNA will be the third lane. Okay, and the children's DNA will have a combination of father's as well as mother's DNA fingerprinting probes. VNTR sites. for DNA fingerprinting analysis. So the children will have now this 3 is the DNA of the children. 3 is the DNA of the father. So he is having 2 sites on his genomic DNA. So children will also have these corresponding 2 sites or 1 site, and the other site will be from their mother. So 1, 2 are having this site of fathers, same site as that of the father. Similarly 4 and 5 also have same site from the father, but this 1, 2 have another site which is different from the father's DNA. Similarly 4 and 5 also have another site which is different from the fathers. So the 1, 2, 4, 5 will be the children and 3 will be the father. So answer is option C. 1, 2, 4 and 5 will be the DNA of the children. Now, when the lipid content of leaves from 2 plants was analyzed, it was found that the thylakoid membranes of plant P1 had much more percentage of unsaturated fatty acids compared to plant 2. What can be deducted from this observation? P1 is less likely to show low temperature photoinhibition compared to P2. That's correct, because P1 is having more percentage of unsaturated fatty acids. So option A is correct. P1 will perform photosynthesis at much higher rate compared to P2. Nothing like that. Then P2 will perform photosynthesis even at very low light intensities. That is also wrong. P2 will perform photosynthesis at very low partial pressures of carbon dioxide compared to P1. That is also wrong. Then in an experiment, mature leaves, remember mature leaves on the plant were enclosed for a fixed amount of time in a transparent bag that had radioactive carbon dioxide. In which part of the plant will maximum radioactivity be found after some time? That is, in actively growing leaves you will get maximum radioactivity, because the mature leaves of the plant were enclosed for a fixed amount of time in a transparent bag. So from the mature leaves the carbon dioxide will be transmitted to transported to the actively growing leaves. So actively growing leaves will have radioactive carbon dioxide in them. So option A is correct. The major difference between mosses and ferns is ferns lack alternation of generation while mosses show the same. Both have alternation of generation. Mosses are facultative aerobes while ferns are obligate aerobes. That is also wrong. Vascular bundles of ferns show xylem vessels while those of moss lack it. Ferns have mainly xylem tracheids. Then sporophytes of ferns live much longer as compared to sporophytes of mosses. So option D is correct. Then next one. The basal metabolic rate of a mammal is greatly influenced by its surface area to volume ratio and environmental temperature. Which graph correctly depicts this relationship? BMR, that is ml per oxygen per hour. This will not give a negative slope, it will give a positive slope when drawn against body mass. So option A is wrong. But BMR per ml oxygen per gram per hour will give a negative slope. So option B is correct. Then next one. Microbes GE and OG are facultative aerobes. Their doubling time is comparable to each other. When grown together, they do not affect the growth of each other. GE can utilize either glucose or ethanol as carbon source. OG can use only glucose as carbon source. An inoculum containing equal number of GE and OG were grown together with glucose as the sole carbon source. After a certain duration, only GE was present and not OG. The reason for this is that the culture was grown under. So, this GE and OG when grown together, they do not affect the growth of each other. They don't compete with each other. Then GE can utilize both glucose and ethanol, whereas OG can utilize only glucose. So the reason for this disappearance of OG is because first the culture was grown under anaerobic conditions. Because facultative aerobes are one that can live in the presence of oxygen but does not require it. Then similarly, they produce ATP by anaerobic respiration. So option C is correct. Anaerobic condition initially and then under aerobic conditions. So option C is correct. Then lipid molecules have a polar head group, one or two hydrophobic tails. A variety of lipid assemblies are known. They can be lamellar or spherical and they can be monolayered or bilayered. A lipid molecule has one hydrophobic tail of length L nanometers. Suppose that L is very much less than A, where A nanometer square is the surface area of the head group. In an aqueous medium, molecules of such lipid molecules form monolayered spherical structures. Answer. Next one. Hemoglobin transports oxygen from lungs to tissues. The partial pressure of oxygen in lungs is different from that in tissues. Each hemoglobin can bind up to 4 oxygen molecules. Suppose we have an equal number of hemoglobin and oxygen molecules and all the oxygen molecules are in bound form, then which of the following is true? So they have told that they have given equal number of hemoglobin and oxygen molecule and one hemoglobin can bind 4 oxygen molecules. Now suppose we have 100 hemoglobin molecules and 100 oxygen molecules. Now one hemoglobin can bind 4 oxygen molecules. So 100 oxygen molecules will be bound by 25 hemoglobin molecules. That is nothing but 1/4. So nearly 1/4 of all the hemoglobin molecules are bound to form to 4 oxygen molecules each. C is the correct answer. Dr. Venkataraman Ramakrishnan is one of the 3 recipients of the 2009 Nobel Prize for Chemistry. He worked towards the elucidation of the 3-dimensional structure of ribosomes. Ribosomes are involved in the biosynthesis of proteins and one of their protein component is a catalyst. No, one of their RNA component is a catalyst. That is correct. They bind to DNA for the purpose of protein synthesis. They bind to mRNA, not DNA. They bind either to tRNA or to mRNA at any given time. So, ribozymes are catalytically active RNA molecules or RNA protein complexes in which solely the RNA provides catalytic activity. They are found in the ribosome. So, option B is correct. Then next one. Experiments 1, 2, 3 were conducted wherein synthetic vesicles containing F0, F1 ATP synthase were prepared and incubated overnight in a tube. Subsequently, the vesicles were transferred to another tube which also contained ADP and PI, that is inorganic phosphate. Now, they have asked for which of the following statements are correct. So before coming to I have given the statements in the next slide. So before coming to that, let me explain the proton motive force and the chemiosmotic hypothesis for ATP synthesis. So I'll be just brushing through the matter because you all know it very well. Then electrons carried by NADH and FADH2 from glycolysis and citric acid cycle feed the electron carriers of the inner mitochondrial membrane, which pumps protons out of the matrix to the intermembrane space. So the electron carriers found on the inner mitochondrial membrane, they pump protons out of the matrix to the intermembrane space. Now what happens when the protons are pumped out? Proton pumping creates an imbalance of H positive and thus a charge difference between the intermembrane space and the matrix. This imbalance is the proton motive force. Now what will happen due to this imbalance? Proton motive force drives proton back to the matrix through H plus channel of the ATP synthase. This movement of protons is coupled with the formation of ATP in the F1 unit. by utilizing ADP plus PI. So matrix is having low H positive concentration and intermembrane space is having high H positive concentration. Now what they have done was they have taken a synthetic vesicle. Suppose we consider the synthetic vesicle to be our intermembrane space. Okay, now the synthetic vesicle is first in experiment 1 is incubated at pH 8 and then it is shifted to pH 4 and supplied with ADP and PI. So pH 8 is having lesser concentration of hydrogen ions because pH is 8. So H positive will be H positive ion concentration will be 10 raised to minus 8. Whereas here in the second tube it is pH 4, that is hydrogen ion concentration is more, that is 10 raised to minus 4 hydrogen ion concentration. So H positive ions will be higher in the outside of this synthetic vesicle than the inside. So ATP synthesis will not take place here. Whereas in the case of experiment 2, it is first incubated in pH 4. So the hydrogen ion concentrations in pH 4 is more when compared to that incubated in the second tube, that is of having pH 8. So pH 4 is having 10 raised to minus 4 hydrogen ions and pH 8 is having the 10 raised to minus 8 pH ions. So when incubated, when this vesicle which was incubated at pH 4 transferred or placed into another tube containing pH 8 solution, what will happen is hydrogen ions are less in pH 8 than in pH 4. So protons flow out of the vesicle through the F0 F1 ATP synthase for ATP synthesis utilizing ADP and PI. Whereas in experiment 3 the pH is almost at same in the first tube and the second tube. So ATP synthesis will not take place as there is no proton gradient. Now we will come to the options. A proton gradient across the vesicular membrane will be present in both experiments 1 and 2 at the time of transfer. That is correct. A proton gradient will be present, whereas in experiment 3 it will not be present. As a consequence of proton gradient, ATP will be synthesized in both experiments 1 and 2. No, it will be synthesized only in 2. Then C, ATP will be synthesized in experiments 3 because F0 F1 ATP synthase has the inherent property to catalyze the synthesis of ATP from ADP and PI. This is wrong because experiment 3 both are with the same pH, so there is no gradient. Or then next one, ATP will be synthesized in experiment 2 because the proton has to flow out of the vesicle through the F0 F1 ATP synthase for ATP synthesis. That is correct. So option A and D. Now coming to the next one. Blood osmolytes and the adaptable ranges of environmental salinities of two types of animals are shown in the graph below. Mark the correct description of these animals. Type 1 animal maintain more or less stable internal osmolality by physiological means. That is correct. Because here as the salinity increases, the osmolality doesn't increase, it is almost constant. So it maintains more or less stable internal osmolality by physiological means. Then type 2 animals maintain blood osmolality within narrow physiological ranges. No, the osmolality is increasing in salinity. Then type 1 animals are not likely to be found in estuaries or river mouths with fresh water and salt water meet and the salinity fluctuates greatly. They can maintain internal osmolality by physiological means, so they can be naturally found in estuaries or river mouths where fresh and salt water meet and the salinity fluctuates greatly. Then type 2 animals gain and lose water at equal rates and have no need to expend energy expelling water or salt from the body. That is also correct. So option A and D are correct. Now next one. Troglobites are animals that spend their entire life in a very stable, unchanging cave environment. Which of the following adaptations will be seen in these animals? So their natural habitat is cave environment. So naturally they will be having the characteristic like detrivory or carnivory that will be present. Loss of pigmentations, that is also true. They are always in the cave, so no need of any colors. Then reduced antennae, we cannot know, and the reduced photoreceptors, that is also true because the inside the cave it is always dark conditions. So answer 18 is A, B and D. Then 19. The DNA content of individual cells and the number of cells in each phase of a cell cycle can be determined using flow cytometry. Which of the following combinations of phases of a cell cycle and its corresponding DNA content can be considered normal? Diploid cells found in the G0 and G1 phase. Yes. Mitosis have not started, nor after G1 only S is coming, so the DNA content has not increased. So diploid cells are as diploid cells. Then cells with twice the normal DNA content in the early M phase. S phase is over and after that G2, then comes the M phase. So during the S phase there is division or replication of DNA. So in the M phase there will be twice the normal DNA content. So B is also correct. Cells with intermediate amount DNA in the S phase. Because S phase there is replication. They have started replicating. That is DNA have started replicating or dividing. So intermediate amounts of DNA in S phase is also correct. Then cells with twice the normal DNA content in the G2 phase. The cells have already completed the S phase where they have doubled the DNA content. So cells with twice the normal DNA content will be found in the G2 phase. So A, B, C and D are. Now next one. The regions of the lac operon system of E. coli which contain the repressor gene, operator and the structural gene Z for beta-galactosidase are denoted by symbols A, B and C. But it is not known which symbol represent which region. Okay, whether A represent repressor or operator or structural gene, we do not know. Similarly, B, whether it represent repressor gene, operator or structural gene, we do not know. Similarly for C also. The following genotypes of E. coli for the lac operon were generated. The activity of the enzyme beta-galactosidase was measured separately in the absence and in the presence of inducer. Now what is inducer? Inducer is nothing but lactose or allolactose. The activity of the enzyme beta-galactosidase is shown by the symbol ++ and the absence of activity is shown by symbol -. Note that the order in which the symbols are written in the table is not necessarily the actual sequence in which they occur in the lac operon. The symbols plus and minus written as superscript on ABC represent the wild type and mutant phenotypes respectively. Which of the following statement is or are correct for the above experiment? So before coming to that, what is lac operon? So we will, you all know very well what is lac operon, but I will just brush it out. The repressor gene. So repressor gene, what it does is it will bind to the operator and prevents the binding of RNA polymerase to the promoter, thereby inhibiting the transcription and translation of the structural genes. So beta-galactosidase will not be produced. Okay. Now what will happen in the presence of inducer? In the presence of inducer, the inducer will bind to the repressor and it will prevent the binding of repressor to the operator, and RNA polymerase will bind to the promoter and it will result in the transcription and translation of beta-galactosidase genes. So here the experiment with the different mutants was conducted in the absence of inducer and when inducer was present. And these are the genotypes, what they have got, what they have used, and they don't know whether A codes for repressor or operator or structural genes. So A plus B plus C plus, that is wild type. All the genes are normal. Repressor binds to the operator in the absence of the inducer. So when inducer is absent, repressor will bind to the operator and prevent RNA polymerase from binding, and no beta galactosidase is produced. So inducer absent, no beta galactosidase activity, minus minus. But when inducer is present, what it will do? It will bind to the repressor and prevents the binding of the repressor to the operator. So RNA polymerase will bind and beta galactosidase will be produced. So plus plus. When inducer is present, beta galactosidase activity is given as 2 plus symbols. Now A minus, B minus, C minus. All the genes are mutated, including your beta galactosidase gene is mutated. So whether inducer is present or inducer is absent, it will not change. It will not produce beta galactosidase. So minus minus. Now A minus, B plus, C plus. Now suppose A represents mutation in the repressor. We cannot tell whether A or B or C is the repressor, but for you to understand, I am taking it as A represents mutation in the repressor. So repressor is not able to bind to the operator. RNA polymerase bind beta galactosidase and beta galactosidase is produced. So if inducer is present or absent, beta galactosidase will be produced because the repressor is mutated. It will not be able to bind to the operator. So inducer is absent. There is no binding of the repressor to the operator. Beta galactosidase enzyme will be produced. So plus plus, and inducer is present, same plus plus. Then next one, A plus, B plus, C minus. So we have taken A as repressor here. I already told you. So when inducer is absent, but we will take C as operator gene. Okay, because we are getting plus plus symbols. So B will be the beta galactosidase gene or enzyme produced by the B gene. Because we are getting plus plus symbols, that is there is activity of beta galactosidase, C must be naturally the operator. Now operator is mutated, whereas repressor is wild type. So the repressor will not be able to bind to the operator. Why? Because operator is mutated. So when inducer is absent, repressor is not bound to operator. It will produce beta galactosidase enzyme. Similarly, inducer is present, it will produce beta galactosidase enzyme. Now A plus, B minus, C minus, they don't produce beta galactosidase, that is why negative symbols. So B minus means we will take B minus as beta galactosidase mutant. So when galactosidase itself is mutated, whether inducer is present or absent, you won't be able to produce beta galactosidase enzyme. Now the genotypes A minus, B plus, C minus and A plus, B minus, C minus are likely to produce similar results. Now A minus, B plus, C minus, operator and repressor are mutated. So beta galactosidase will be produced even when inducer is absent or present. But A plus, B minus, C minus, beta galactosidase itself is mutated. So naturally synthesis of beta galactosidase will not take place. So they are not likely to produce similar results. So option A is wrong. Mutation in the region A or C make the lac operon constitutively expressed. Mutation in the region, that is either to repressor or the operator, make the lac operon constitutively expressed. Yes, that we have seen here in these two cases where A minus, B plus, C plus and A plus, B plus, C minus, even when the inducer is absent or present, beta galactosidase gene is producing the protein or the enzyme. So mutations in the region C make the lac operon constitutively expressed. The symbol B represents the region containing the lac Z gene. Yes, that is why when B is mutated, there is no synthesis of beta galactosidase. Similarly, here also A minus, B minus, C minus, whether inducer is present or absent, beta galactosidase is not synthesized. Even in A plus, B minus, C minus, if inducer is absent or present, beta galactosidase is not synthesized. Then next one, whether region A contains the LAC-I or the LAC-O gene cannot be inferred from these data. Yes, because A can be the repressor and C can be the operator, or A can be the operator and C can be the repressor. So whether operator is mutated or repressor is mutated, beta galactosidase will be produced because B is not getting mutated there. So whether A is operator or repressor or C is operator or repressor, we cannot deduce from the given data. So B, C and D are correct. Thank you. Please like, share and subscribe.